Hey, this is Chris with Magic Maker Studio, and I am here to show you how to use our presentation mat. Let's call it a template. I'm not sure what we want to call it. But I got tired a while back of having 50 different mats and trying to find which one would work. So I made 4 different templates so I could go in and make any mat with any style, any color, anything I want really, really quick. So I'm going to show you how this works. And what we're going to do is I've got it open right now. If you look here, we've got a spot right here called Drop Image. And that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to select that layer. Then I'm going to come over here to Bridge. And I'm going to drag an old image, competition image from several years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. And you see it puts it in behind the mats. Don't worry about the color of the mats. We want them neutral right now. Now I'm just going to resize my image. I'm going to drag it down. This neutral color makes it very easy to see that the image fits in that square. That looks pretty good. Now I'm going to hit enter. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my front mat, and I want to pick a matte color. What I tell people to do is it's best to pick a color that's in the image. So down here on this layer it says select color in image. I'm going to double click there. Then the color picker box is going to come up. Yours is going to look something like this. So I usually like, especially on a low key image, a darker color matte. So I'm going to click one of these colors. That might be a little too dark. Let's try that. That's actually not dark enough, I think, but that's a good choice to start with. Now what you can do is we can do this one of 2 ways. If I know I like that color, but I want it just a little bit darker, I can come over here to my color picker, and I'm going to change it from the H to the B. Now I can stay in that same color, but I can go lighter or I can go darker, but I'm staying in that same color range. Right? I'm just going to do a little bit darker. I want it just a hair darker than her. I don't want to pull any attention away from her or the dragon. A little bit darker. We're starting to get pretty close, but I don't want it black. Right? I still want to carry a little bit of that color harmony from the image. This looks pretty good here. I like that. Okay, I'm going to click OK. Now I'm going to go to the front mat, the layer right underneath it. I'm going to double click on the stroke because we want to put a stroke in here. Select the color. Now I'm going to pick an image inside, a color inside the image. Let's say I'm going to pick this color here, right? And I'm colorblind, so this is why I do this way. I don't say a color, what have you. I know right now that is going to be way too bright. The last thing you want to do, I'm going to come over here and adjust this. The opacity needs to be at 100%. I'll fix that on the map before I save this. Now that's too bright. That's going to really draw the judge's attention away from the image. That's what we want to have happen here. The mat just basically supports the image. It holds it. It doesn't add to it, and it doesn't take away from it. I've seen some rare occasions in a printed scenario on printed mats where you can do some beautiful, gorgeous presentations, and it adds to the image. The biggest thing that we don't want to take that risk, though, in print competition. We want to give the judges less things that they can debate and talk about. You don't want the presentation to be what they're talking about. So back to our color for our stroke. So because I've chosen to be, I'm okay with that color. Now I'm just going to drag this down. I want that to be very, very subtle. That's getting pretty subtle. I know because that gray background that's behind this, it's going to show up a little brighter than it really is. I'm going to draw it down there where I can just barely see it. Now I'm going to click OK. Click OK. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on the front mat and I'm going to go copy layer style. So then I'm going to scroll to the bottom mat, come down here to where it says bottom mat. I'm going to right click and I'm going to paste layer style. So it's doing the exact same thing as it did before. Now I'm going to make one trip back up here where I had the select color in the image, double click it. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to copy this hex code. Or here's the hex code here, right? Command C, because it's highlighted right here. Click OK. Now I'm going to come down to here where it says select color and image and double click and I'm going to paste it. Right? So now I can leave it there and I'm fine. What I can tell you now is, see, you notice how the stroke got brighter? I don't like the stroke that's bright. That's going to take away from the image. That's okay. One of the things I do like to do, though, is I like the inner mat to be just a little bit brighter than the outer mat. Because then we go from dark to brighter. We're drawing the judge's eyes into the image. So I'm going to double click here, bring this color up, and I'm going to select the B again. So now I'm just going to bring this up a little bit. And I'm going to bring that inner mat just a little bit brighter. I'm going to click OK. I'm I'm going to go back to my stroke now that I can see it. Stroke has to be at 100%. If you reduce that opacity, part of the image will show through the stroke, and you do not want that, right? So if I want to make that darker, I don't do it by reducing the opacity. I select the B, and now I drag this down. Now that's starting to look pretty good. You just want it to be noticeable. All right, and I'm going to click OK. I'm going to click OK, and now I'm going to right-click, copy layer style. And that's why I don't do color overlay there, because maybe I don't want to change the color. Now I'm going to come over here to the front mat, and I'm going to paste my layer style. And you see that, to me, that looks great. I'm loving the way this looks. Perfect. Okay, I could save this, and I'm done. If I'm saving this to the image folder where this is, I may want to come in here and delete all of these layers here. But let me show you what they are first. It's not going to show up as much on a dark image. But what if I wanted to add a texture to a mat? Now, it's rare that I add a texture. Every now and then a texture can help an image, but most likely you just don't want to do it. But I could come over here and I've got all these different options. Here's a burlap layer. So I'll zoom in so you can probably see. And you see it added a little bit of texture here. And look, it only did it on the top mat. And that's why this has all these clipping masks on here. So you don't want to unclip this. If you don't like that one, turn it off here. Turn it back on. You can reduce the opacity of it. It's in soft light mode. I can bring that down. See, now I brought it down to 27% and you can barely see it. So it does give a little bit of texture to that mat, and maybe you like that. I think if it's a hint of it, yeah, it shouldn't be a problem with the judges. But if you put it up at 100%, you don't want to do that. That is really going to draw their attention. Okay, so don't do that. So if you wanted to leave it at 20-something% just to give it a little texture, fine. Personally, I probably wouldn't, but you've got all of these texture layers here that you can pick from on your mat. And then you can come down to the bottom one, and we've got the same one here. And now it just added it there. So we need to make sure that's in soft light mode, but we got to bring that way down, right? So we're bringing that down to 14%. I'm going to hit Command-0 to zoom back out. And I think we've got a great looking mat here, right? So now I would just save this. It is a PSB file because of all of these layers. So what I would probably do if I'm saving this, or this is what I do, I would come in here. Oh, let me show you one more trick real quick. So let's just say, here's a shortcut for brightening and darkening. I can turn on this curves layer here in the front mat. I double click it. Now I can brighten or darken my mat, doing it here as well. Okay, so that's another little trick. I can do that on both the front mat, and I can do that in the bottom mat. So let's just say I want to turn that on. Oh, we didn't see. Now, if that happens to you, why is that? See, the clipping mask isn't there, right? So you can right click here and you can go create clipping mask. And now it's only applying it to the mat. I'm going to double click. I don't want that to be that dark. I'm going to bring it up a little bit. And now we've got it a little bit brighter. All right. So this gives you all kinds of crazy functionality and creativity on your mat. On your inner mat, your bottom mat, watch your drop shadow. See the drop shadow that's here? So if you think that's too much drop shadow, a judge might, fine, just double click this. And here you can reduce the opacity of that drop shadow. See how that changed it a lot right there? So maybe you want a hint of it, just a little, or you could turn it off. Click right there. We've got a beautiful presentation. That's not going to hurt you from the judges. It might even help. It's got the colors in here. You know, I might want to go with this inner mat just a little bit darker. Okay. I'm going to scroll down to my bottom mat. I'm going to, where is my adjustment layer? Right here. And maybe I want to make that inner mat just a touch darker. There we go. And boom, we're done. All right. So I could save this, go File, Save As, because you don't want to save over your template. You need to do a Save As, title it your image. But if I was going to do that before I went to do that and I'm going to save it, I'm going to delete these layers. No problem. I'm going to delete these. Okay, I think I can delete these because they're not being used. And then I'll go to my front mat. I would delete the layers that are turned off. Delete, delete. Boom. And now I can save this as a PSD file, File, Save As, and navigate to wherever I keep my mat or wherever this image is or however your file system works, okay? And there you go. We've got these mats available in vertical and horizontal, so you don't have to do any rotating. And we also have it on what I call an artist version, that underneath this one here, there would be a drop down where you can put guide images if you need to do that. So there you go. They're big files. You're going to want to save them somewhere. Just always remember to do a save as, so you don't save over your templates. Hope you enjoy the mats. Let me know if you have any questions. We are going to be coming out with some that have torn edges. So if you buy these, the upgrade to adding the additional will be nominal if we charge anything at all. Okay? Hope this helps. Hope this makes your competition images better, simpler, and easier to work with. Okay, talk to you soon.